Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. My name is Chris Zanoni, and among some activities here in the congregation, I'm on the Personnel Committee, the Democracy Defenders, the Adult All-Re Group, and the Retreat 26 team. I hope you're joining us for the retreat. Yeah. One thing I love about this congregation is our amazing staff. I'm going to do a shout out to our staff. So Reverend David, who will be joining us next week, will be back in town. Dr. Emily, Austin, Scott, Rachel. I think Rachel will be back next week, I'm not sure. Scott, Sammy, Irene, Ted, JC, and Emily Sims. We are so blessed to have them with us. If you're joining us online, please fill out a visitor form in the link in the description. We would love to have you get connected with us and us to get connected with you. I want to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's visiting us for the first time. Rather than gathering because we all have the same beliefs, we are an intentional community gathered around our shared promise to support each other's individual spiritual journeys. We don't strive to do things perfectly here, but we do take the needs of people across all generations seriously. And if you or a small human you're with need to wiggle or step out or cough or are not perfectly still and silent at all times, that's really okay. We're all just people. Please take care of yourself. That includes moving forward if you get stuck in a ray of sunlight or want fewer distractions. So each week when we gather, we light our chalice, just as 1,000 other congregations do each week around the country. It's a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist past, present, and future. It's a visible reminder of our interconnection. We're not bound together by creed, by a specific list of things that we all believe exactly the same way. We are united by shared values, expressed in our 7 principles, and by the commitments we make to each other about what creates this community. Will you please join with me in saying the words of our mission as I light our chalice this morning? We gather in fellowship, stand bravely, even spiritually, embody justice, and always love.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Emily Coriath, and I have the great pleasure of serving as your music director here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. For our opening hymn this morning, we have another beautiful offering from Sing Out Love, which is the virtual hymnal published by the Unitarian Universalist Association. And because it's brand new, I'll ask Austin to play it once through for us, and then we'll give it our best shot. I have great faith in you. So will you please rise in body or in spirit?
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is the Reverend Michael DeSantis. I use they, them pronouns, and I've had the great honor and joy of serving as your summer minister in residence these past 2 summers. One of my UU ministry colleagues, the Reverend Victoria Safford, she tells a story about her first weeks on the job as a new minister fresh out of divinity school. As Reverend Safford was beginning her first ministry at an old New England congregation, a longtime member of the church came to see her. Writing years later about this congregant in their meeting, Reverend Safford wrote, "Nearly 90 years old, she was a lifelong member of that church. Her parents had joined in the late 19th century. She didn't like change," she said. And she wasn't sure that she liked me or what she called my point of view. "Just remember," the congregant told Reverend Safford, "just remember, I have outlived all of your predecessors. And I will probably outlive you too." As many of you know, today is my last Sunday here at UUCB. It's my last Sunday before I move to Vermont to begin my own ministry. So the odds aren't looking great for me to outlast any of you here. As I've already shared with some of you, this goodbye is a strange one. Over the last 2 summers as your summer minister in residence, I have probably only been here for a total of about 10 weeks. And still, this goodbye feels bigger than I would have expected from such a short ministry. Over the past 2 summers, you all have welcomed me into your lives in this community. You've generously supported me. You've affirmed some of my gifts for a ministry as a young minister who is not that far from divinity school myself. And you even joined in the celebration of my ordination to our Unitarian Universalist ministry. When my first UU minister, the Reverend Bill Sinkford, was leaving my first UU congregation, the First Unitarian Church of Portland, Oregon, he reflected in part the following, and try as I might, I can't put it any better than he did. "All ministers know or should that every ministry is an interim ministry. Every ministry is a temporary assignment, and that is true whether that's a summer ministry like mine, or a settled ministry like Reverend Bill's was, or like your own Reverend David's is. We serve for a time and we're privileged to do so," Reverend Bill continued, "but the ministry of the church is not defined by its ministers. The ministry of this great church relies on the ministries of literally hundreds of congregants and staff members. To describe this ministry," he said, "to describe this ministry as a shared ministry is both true and one of the more radical understatements in life. All of our ministries are shared ministries, and goodness, how you all have shared yours with me. And so to each and every one of you, I say thank you. Thank you for all of the potluck conversations. Thank you for your spiritual openness and your willingness to try new practices in worship. Thank you to all of you who've participated in my classes that I have always left as I did this past Thursday evening with a feeling of deep connection and with a song of joy singing in my heart. And thank you for being here today. For being here today so that we can share in the joy and the meaning making that is worship together one last time. By the way, for those who are curious, Reverend Victoria's longtime congregant did end up outliving her in that congregation. Even though Reverend Victoria had a good, long, decade-long ministry there, thus proving something that you all have reminded me of time and time again, that the people in these pews, you ordinary, extraordinary human beings that you are incapable of incredible and even borderline miraculous deeds. especially when you share the work of those deeds, the work of our shared ministry with one another. What an honor and a privilege it has been to accompany you for just a small sampling of them. May you all be so blessed as you have blessed me. Would you all join me now in a spirit of prayer and meditation? I invite you to settle into this time and to just let your body soften and your breathing slow. To feel the ground underneath your feet or the seat holding you up. Sometimes our words fall short. There are entire traditions of contemplative spiritual practice that are based upon the idea that the divine is so beyond our understanding, so beyond our constructs of language, that it can only be approached in emptiness and in silence. So this morning, we're going to hold a little bit of sacred silence together. I invite you to savor the time as your own. You may hear or you may even make some noises, and that's okay. As a Zen Buddhist priest once taught me while I was in seminary, meditation and spiritual practice, it's not about trying to control the world around us. It's about meeting the world as it is. So that's what we'll do together for the next couple minutes. Settle in. I'll keep the time. Part of the power of this practice is that we choose to hold this silence together, to trust one another with our practice, with our shared practice. We do the same when we come into communities like this one, this congregation where we say in our mission that part of what we do here, part of what we seek to do is to always love. And when we say that we try to always love, it means that we actively seek connection and compassion across borders and boundaries. Each week as you come into this service, you are invited to take a stone symbolizing your joys and sorrows, and to place that stone into this earth here. It's a private and a personal act, yes. You place a stone as a symbol of your own private joy or grief. But it's also a community act. What we make together is a whole. It's a miniature landscape, a landscape of our individual inner lives. What we make is whole. What we make shows that each of us is unique and also united. There are some joys and sorrows to share this morning, and I invite you, after I read each of them, to respond all together without trying to be too coordinated. We are with you. We are with you. First up, we have an update from Fred Cole, who reports that Barb suffered a bit of a setback on Tuesday and ended up in the ER and hospital. 3 days of observation and further testing failed to find anything wrong. And Fred says that he'll be bringing Barb home later this afternoon. We're with you. One of our members reports and shares that they are experiencing ongoing harassment from a neighbor, which seems anti-gay and is hard to accept since they thought that Boulder would be safer. We are with you. Another reports that as a Houston native, their heart goes out to their community facing harassment from ICE and for the man who lost his life last week. We are with you. And from Babs, a joy of spending 5 days enjoying high school girlfriend company. Babs, we are with you. We know each week, too, that there are other joys and sorrows that we choose not to speak aloud or that we just aren't ready to speak aloud. And so I'm going to place one more stone in our earth to represent all of the other joys and concerns, the blessings and the sorrows that are on our hearts and that are resting just behind our lips. For those blessings, for all of the blessings and concerns we carry, we hold this compassionate space with love.
If you already know this song, you know that it has many parts. And if you're new to this song, we're going to repeat it many, many times. I'll sing through each of the lines, and whenever you hear one that you like, just grab it and keep singing it. The magic of this song is in the repeating. So whenever you find one that you like, just sing it. And if you have sung this song before and you know which one you like, just sing it. There's no wrong way to do it. And if you get tired of the one that you're singing, sing a different one. There's no wrong way. Will you rise in body or in spirit? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery.
have a reading for today's service. We hold hope close by the UU minister, Reverend Julian Humika Soto. They write, "In this community, we hold hope close. We don't always know what comes next, but that cannot dissuade us. We don't always know just what to do, but that will not mean that we are lost in the wilderness. We rely on the certainty beneath the foundation of our values and ethics. We are the people who return to love like a North Star, and to the truth that we are greater together than we are alone. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream. And by covenant and the movement forward of one right action and then the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home."
We know the way. We know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant and the movement forward of one right action in the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. In the creating theology class that some of us have been doing over the past few weeks, I invited each of the participants to reflect on their personal theology by creating a spiritual roadmap of sorts. Like any good, useful map, this one has a couple key elements that needed to be identified. First of all, an often overlooked one, but there's the land, the section across which we will travel. In this theological metaphor, the ground represents the nature of reality, of the cosmos, of life, both human and non-human alike. There's a map key with a compass, something that helps us to get our bearings as we travel through the land. In theology, this represents our ethics, our sense of what is right and just and good. It's our personal version of, as Reverend Julian writes in their poem, returning to love like the North Star. And perhaps most importantly, but certainly most notably on the worksheet that I gave everyone for these spiritual roadmaps, is the destination. The destination, the goal of life, of spiritual practice, etc., etc. On the worksheet, it's marked by a bright red destination pin, the kind that you might find on Google Maps. Though, and I cannot stress this enough, I do not recommend Google Maps as a source of spiritual guidance. In our group, some of the things that we included among our personal destinations were love and connection and enlightenment and transcendence and social justice. In a collective sense, though, I think that the destination is that place that Reverend Julian writes about near the end of their poem, the world of which we dream. The world of which we dream. One of my favorite phrases in philosophy and in theology for describing this, a phrase that we could punch into our spiritual GPS. It's this phrase that appears in our current version of our UU shared values. Beloved community. Beloved community. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, the beloved community, it's a concept that was popularized by the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In King's prophetic imagination, the beloved community, it was the end goal of the civil rights movement and all movements for justice and liberation. For King, the beloved community, it represented a community, a world that was ordered by and around the power of love. The beloved community was his ultimate destination, a world in which everyone's basic needs, food, water, and housing were met, and in which all people were honored and respected and able to live free from discrimination, because in the beloved community, hatred and prejudice are a thing of the past. king was realistic. He knew that this beloved community, if we got there, that it would still have conflict. That's how we are as humans. But all conflicts in the beloved community, he said, that they be able to be resolved through non-violent means. Meaning that in the beloved community, all people would also live free from the threat of violence. This is not to say that everyone will be happy every single moment if we get to the beloved community. But in the long run, the beloved community, it creates the conditions for all people, all beings, all life to flourish. The question of whether or not we can actually build the beloved community here on earth, it's a question that is pretty hotly debated by theologians and philosophers and ministers. I'll say that I have borne witness to multiple Facebook fights over this question between some of my ministry colleagues. Some of them say, yes, we can build the beloved community here on earth. We can build it in our congregations. Others say no. The beloved community is not something that we can actually build here on earth, not even on a small scale in a place like a church. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he did believe, though. King did believe that the beloved community was an achievable goal. For him, the beloved community was a destination that could be reached. For King, the beloved community, we could get to it, but only, he thought, only if we constantly sought it out and only if we constantly worked to build it. Because the beloved community, it's not something that we can just sit around and wait for, something for which we can naively hold out hope and wait for things to get better. This is why I think that in the reading that Reverend Julian, in Reverend Julian's reading that we just heard, this is why they write, in this community, we hold hope close, but they also write, our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. This clarification about the nature of hope, it is one that has been made by many people across time and space. It's a clarification that hope is not, cannot be something that is passive. Hope, rather, it has to be active. Hope has to be an active thing, something we seek to cultivate. One of my favorite statements about this active nature of hope, it comes from one of my seminary professors, Dr. Cornel West. Dr. West, the acclaimed activist scholar and member of our nation's long line of prophetic Black voices. Dr. West clarifies the active nature of hope by comparing hope to optimism. Here's how he puts it. Hope is not the same as optimism. Optimism adopts the role of the spectator who surveys the evidence in order to infer that things are going to get better. Yet we know that the evidence does not look good. The dominant tendencies of our day are unregulated global capitalism, racial balkanization, social breakdown, and individual depression. And I think it's worth noting that Dr. West wrote those words not in the past couple months, but in 2004. And he first published some version of this piece even further back in the mid-1990s. He goes on to write, hope in comparison to optimism, hope enacts the stance of the participant who actively struggles against the evidence. Who actively struggles against the evidence in order to change the deadly tides of wealth inequality, group xenophobia, and personal despair. Only a new wave of vision, courage, and hope, he writes, can preserve the decency and dignity requisite to revitalize our organizational energy for the work to be done. To live, he says, to live is to wrestle with despair, yet never to allow despair to have the last word. To live is to wrestle with despair, yet never to allow despair to have the last word. That is hope. That is, I think, what it means to have hope in a time like this. That is what we mean when we say things here, like in this community. We hold hope close. So it's for all these reasons. It's for all these reasons, going back to Reverend Julian's poem. It's for all of these reasons that I am totally on board when Reverend Julian writes, "Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future." But I have to confess that the next line always trips me up a bit. That next line, "Rather, we know the way to the world of which we dream." We know the way. I wish that I could tell you all that I had the magic formula, that I knew the way that we would get out of this current moment that we're in our country and our world to build the beloved community. We preachers, we are taught to leave people with hope and ideally to give you all some action steps to get there. But the problems of our times are so widespread and multifaceted that it is hard to know where to begin. Or I should say, it's hard to know where to begin as an individual. But you'll note, as I did when I tried to make sense of that line in Reverend Julian's poem, you'll note that they don't write that I know the way to the world of which we dream. They don't write, I know the way. They write, we know the way. We know the way to the world of which we dream. We, that beautiful first-person plural pronoun, that signifier of a group, a kinfolk, a place of belonging. Alone, none of us might know the way to the beloved community, might know every step we need to take to build it. Actually, alone, we can't know the way. As another one of my colleagues, the Reverend Dr. Mark Morrison Reed puts it, the religious community is essential. The community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen, and our strength is too limited to do all that must be done. Together, our vision widens and our strength is renewed. Together, only together can we begin to imagine this hoped-for destination, the beloved community. Only together can we imagine the beloved community, and only together can we begin to journey towards it. This is, of course, where I take my leave as one of your companions on that journey, at least here in this place, in this community. I leave you all in your community at a time when there are so many challenges and uncertainties. There's the challenges and uncertainties of our current political and social moment here in the United States. And there's also the uncertainties and challenges closer to home, the uncertainties and challenges in your congregation, especially those that have to do with your bold and courageous work to grow this place, to add to your physical space so that it can continue to serve as a spiritual home for all who seek it. A spiritual home for all who seek it in a time when so many people are in need of what can be found here, and when many of those people have already claimed this place as their own. I don't know exactly how the road ahead will unfold. I don't know all of the twists and turns that you will encounter or the unexpected roadblocks that you'll have to find a way to navigate together. What I do know from my time with you all these past 2 summers is that regardless of whether or not you use the language of the beloved community, this community, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder, this community is one that is beloved to you. This is a place where you find not only hope, but also meaning and joy and love It's a place where you freely claim one another and are freely claimed by one another. It's not a place where things have always been easy or where everyone has always agreed. But it is a place, and you all are a people who are committed to the work that Reverend Julian talks about in their poem, the work of covenant, the work of collective repair, and of collective, communal, spiritual growth. All of which is to say that you all have everything that you need for the next stage of your journey. Here in these pews and on this live stream and wherever you all may gather together as a community, here is the collective wisdom that gives birth to yet unseen destinations, and the collective courage that carries those dreams aloft. May you remember this. May you remember this as you journey along together and continue doing your part here to build the beloved community. Words of the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto. Our hope does not live in some glimmer of an indistinct future. Rather, we know the way. We know the way to the world of which we dream, and by covenant, and by the movement of one right action in the next, we know that one day we will arrive at home. May this be so. May this be so, and amen.
Will you please rise in body or in spirit? Here we go. We
right here. Each week, we split our plate with nonprofits in the area doing tangible work to make the world a better place. This month, the entirety of our offering will go toward the work of this congregation, supporting our efforts to live out our values and our mission. As the baskets come around, or as you scan the QR code, I invite you to please give as generously as you're able. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community and the wider world. Before we close, I have a few invitations. Next Sunday, we have a lot going on. We have a lot going on, period. During the 10 o'clock hour between services, we will be celebrating our UUCB's 78th birthday with a party. Also, at the 11 o'clock service, we will be celebrating our longtime members. And for the instrumentalists among us, at 12:45 p.m., you can also join others in our musician circle. All instruments and abilities are welcome. Make sure to bring your instrument. And I would add, what did I miss? And I wanted to thank Reverend Michael for sharing his considerable gifts with us. Safe travels as you move your way toward the wilds of Vermont. Will you please rise and body your spirit as we close in song?
Worship ends and our service continues. Go in peace.
Thank you.